Okay, everyone, hello, and welcome to the DI Dashboard webinar. My name is Shawnee, and I am the training evangelist here for Dear Inspire. And my job is to teach you everything you want to know about the dashboard and any other questions you have regarding any of the great things that we do here at Dealer Inspire. As I mentioned, if you have any questions during the segment, you can send them via the chat board. We'll also have a quick little Q&A session at the end. Um, since this is, well, actually, we're going into our 12th webinar here, so we're getting the hang of it. We're always willing to hear feedback of what you want to hear, what you'd like to talk about, you know, what you'd like to see, anything like that. So please fill out the survey at the end of this. All the links are at the bottom of the screen. You can see po.st/DI survey, and let us know what you think. Also, real quick, this webinar will be posted within our website within 24 hours. So if you got to duck out, or if this is something that's so amazing that you got to share it with everybody, then we'll be sending out the link, so you'll be able to get that. You can also see past webinars at dealerinspire.com, past-webinars, or just go to dealerinspire.com and click on the DI How Do I link, and that will take you to a lot of great content that we have on there. So let's get to it. So today we're going to be speaking with Kyle Miner. Kyle Miner is the editor-in-chief of he's the editor-in-chief of Dealer Inspire, and he's going to tell us all about how to use the dashboard to generate unique ideas and content for your blog and website. Welcome, Kyle.
Hey, Shani, thanks. Thanks for having me.
No problem. So I know a lot of the questions that we get done, sometimes clients, the customers want to know how we get the content, where does it come from? Or on the flip side, they want to know how can they, get higher rankings in certain keyboards. So can you talk to us today about how they could do that?
I would be happy to. I go through a couple different spots on the dashboard, so it should be good.
Okay, let me go ahead and give you control here. So let me take over. Okay.
Okay, all set?
All set.
So hi guys, like Shani said, I'm the editor-in-chief here. I run our content department, so I work with our content teams, content managers a lot, coming up with monthly content plans, long-term content strategies, trying to help deal with rankings or traffic goals with content, content that we're putting out there to help dealerships and help websites rank organically and bring in relevant, useful organic traffic. One of the things that we do get asked about a lot of the time, like Shani said, is how various different reports or tools or sections of the dashboard can be used to help generate ideas for content. Specifically, how can we use some of the information that's being drawn in here, pull insights from that, and then build a content strategy around that information. So today I'm going to go through two different main places in the dashboard where you can pull information. These are the two areas that I tell my teams to go to most of the time. Doesn't mean that there isn't other useful insights that could be pulled to help generate content ideas in other sections of the dashboard, but these are going to be the two places where you're going to find the most content relevant information right up front. So the first place I'm going to talk about is the SEO tab, and specifically I'm going to talk about first the organic keywords report down here that we pull in via SEMrush data. The SEO tab is the best place to go if rankings and keywords are your primary concern. So if you're starting from a point where you want to see how you're ranking for certain terms or what your organic presence is like for searches related to a particular area or a particular vehicle, this is the place that I would come for that. I'm going to go over a couple different ways that you can use this information. The first is to monitor your performance for important search terms. So these are going to be terms that you already know are important to your business, or again, sometimes areas. So here you've got, Florida, Tampa, Bradenton, terms that are indicating searches from a particular area around your dealership. One of the things that you can do really well with this report is check to make sure that you are ranking well and maintaining good rankings for terms that you know are important to you. And on the flip side of that, you can monitor when you're slipping in rankings for terms that are important to you, so that you know, hey, it might be time to invest a little bit more content around a particular term, or it might be time to revisit the content we've got out there to help us rank for a particular term, so that we can reverse that that downward slide. Go through a couple examples here. One thing that I would do in generating ideas for content, if I was going through and I was using this data to try and create a content plan for the month, in addition to just auditing it for the two things that I just mentioned, making sure that important keywords are maintaining high rankings and identifying keywords that are slipping in rankings, I would try and look at what I would call keywords that are in what I would call borderline positions. So these are searches that are right on the edge of being in the top 5 spots of the SERP versus the bottom 5. So positions, 4, 5, 6, 7 maybe. Or these are terms that are right on the edge of being between the bottom of the first page of the SERP and the top of the second page of the SERP. So being on the first page, even if it's at the bottom, is obviously far, 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 far better than being on the second page of the SERP, because so many users don't ever click through to the second page. And when I say SERP, that means search engine results page. That's the first set of results once you type in a query in Google, before you have to click to the second and third and fourth pages of results. One of the reasons that looking for terms in borderline positions can be really useful is it can help you target your content around trying to move the needle for particular keywords in useful ways. So right here, this is just an excerpt from one of the organic keyword reports. But we can see for this client, Tampa Mazda, Mazda dealer Tampa, and Mazda dealership Tampa are all hovering right around position 6. So this first column will show you where you're ranking. The second column will show you where you were ranking last month. Tampa, if Tampa is an important city for me, and I'm looking at this report, a goal that I would pull from this right away would be, let's try and see if we can get some of those Tampa searches up in the top 5 search results, so that they have a better chance of being clicked on. That's a really measurable goal that I can set for my content team, and I can go and audit the content that I've got out there on our website targeting Tampa, see if it needs a refresh. I can create some additional content that would be relevant to Tampa drivers, and I can monitor month to month to see, are we moving the needle on any of these terms, so that we can get ourselves up to the 5th position or 4th position or 3rd position, that kind of thing. To illustrate kind of the flip side of that, we've got Mazda Florida down here. Mazda Florida is at the bottom of the first search engine results page, which is always going to be results 1 through 10, and the second is 11 through 20 and so on. They were 9 last month, and now they're slipping to 10. So if that trend continues, they're going to slip off the first page and onto the second page, which again, we really don't want. We really want presence for the important keywords on the first page. So if it's important to me that we rank generally for Florida, which it probably is, then I might, again, invest in some content that can help establish the relevance of my website and of my business for Florida drivers. I might take a look at what pages of that I've got out there and see, can we freshen this up a little bit to make sure that it's the most up-to-date possible content. Whether you're evaluating opportunities like these, where you're just trying to find particular terms in borderline positions that you need to try and move the needle a little bit and bump them up, or whether you're looking at terms that have established content out there on your website that you've hit with content strategies in the past, and that they're now slipping, keep in mind Google wants to see fresh content. So even though Google does value established URLs and established pages that are out there, and the longer a page, content page and a URL is out there, the higher chance that page has of receiving backlinks and building up more significant, more valuable list of backlinks, Google still wants to see fresh content. So if your content hasn't changed for, content that you've put out there for a particular keyword or a particular area or search term for a long time, you're going to probably see your rankings start slipping a little bit. And your response should not always be, oh, Mazda, Florida, that keyword is slipping a little bit. Let's do a lot more content just targeting Mazda, Florida, or targeting Florida-related terms and drivers. New content can be good, but you should still always go back and reevaluate, is the content that we've got out there, the landing pages we've got out there trying to target that particular term, have they been updated in a while? Are they still relevant? Chances are they, if you've had that content out there for a while and you're starting to see a slip in rankings, they probably aren't as up to date as they could be. They probably aren't as relevant as they could be, and you can start adjusting that content so that hopefully it, that injection of fresh content helps reverse the ranking slide a little bit, or again in position like these terms for Tampa that are right on the edge of 5 and 6, might push you up into the top 5. One last thing to note when it comes to this idea of starting with keywords first, starting with terms that you know already that are important for you to rank for, that are relevant for your clients, that are going to bring in relevant organic searches. You can always go to the organic keywords report, but if you have terms that I'm going to want to look at that, the rankings for this term month after month after month, that's always going to be important to me. That's a really important term for me to keep in, say, the top 5 or the top 3 ranking positions, or that's a really important term for me to keep on the first page. I always am going to want to make sure it doesn't slip to the second page. You can go down here to the targeted keyword ranking report, or the targeted keywords. Also in the SEO tab, this is a little bit further down the page if you click on the SEO tab. And you can set up to 20 keywords in here to be monitored automatically month to month. So if you have a handful of keywords that you always know are going to be really important, rather than having to go to that organic keywords report and sift through all the different keywords that come up in that report and try and pick out these primary keywords that you're going to want to look at, you can go and enter these in the targeted keywords report, and then you can jump to that every month right away, and it's going to give you, just for those keywords in a concentrated list, your rankings in Google, Yahoo, and Bing. I would still use the organic keywords report because that can help generate some insights that we'll talk about here in a second. But if you have keywords that are consistently important that you want to make it really easy for you to monitor month to month, definitely update the targeted keywords here, and it makes it a lot easier for you to track just those specific ones and chart them over time. Another way that you can use the organic keyword report is to pull insights on the types of things, the types of things that you are successfully ranking for currently, possibly because of previous content strategies, and also to pull insights on the types of things that your users might be interested in, and to get insights on the types of questions that your users might have. So right here we've got a different excerpt from the organic keywords report. And rather than looking for kind of the obvious ones, the ones that I know I want to monitor month after month related to the key terms that describe my business and the area or areas that I operate in that I'm most concerned with, which again I might put in the targeted keywords report so that I have a separate place where I can look at those a little bit more easily. I'm looking here at non-branded organic searches, and by non-branded, it's non-branded obviously to your particular dealership, not Mazda. I'm looking for searches like this: Mazda 6 Touring versus Grand Touring, 2014 Mazda 6 Grand Touring, Mazda 6 Sport versus Touring. Searches like this are good because it gives me an insight into the types of things that my customers are potentially looking for, and I can double check, am I ranking well for those terms? Do I have content out there to rank for those terms? And it can start to help me build a content strategy based on that. So just off some of those results that I pointed to now, this Mazda 6 Touring versus Grand Touring, 2014 Mazda 6 Grand Touring, and this one at the bottom, Mazda 6 Sport versus Touring. It's clear, even though we're into the 2015 models now, it's clear that that people are looking for information specific to the individual trims within the Mazda 6 lineup. Whether it's comparisons between the different trims within the lineup, or whether it's something like this search 2014 Mazda 6 Grand Touring. Somebody's looking for a specific trim. What I can do is then take that to my content team, or take that to my writers, or take that to the you know, the brainstorming board, and audit at the same time the content that we've got on the site, and say, if somebody does come to our site and they really want help understanding what differentiates each different trim level of the Mazda 6, so that they can make the best choice for them on which particular trim they should buy, do we have good answers for that on our website? When you look at this first result, over here, it's going to show you the landing page that ranks for that particular term. Mazda 6 Touring versus Grand Touring ranks number 5. It did rank number 3, so again, that might be something I might go and reevaluate that page and see, why is this slipping in the rankings? Do we need to inject some fresh content, or maybe create some additional content pieces to keep that ranking high so that it doesn't fall out of the top 5? But it still is ranking pretty well. It's still ranking in the top 5. It's definitely on the first page. And that makes sense because we've got a page here where you can see by the URL. This page is specifically Mazda 6 Touring versus Grand Touring. Great. So if I'm a user and I've typed Mazda 6 Touring versus Grand Touring, where I'm indicating that I want to know what the difference is between these two particular trim levels, I've got a page targeting that exact query, and I could click through to that page and look at it, and I'm sure it details, you know, the pros and the cons of each specific model, and details why each specific trim of the Mazda 6, you know, would be good for what different types of drivers. Compare that down here to the Mazda 6 Sport versus Touring. So two different, you know, same vehicle, but two different trims. That's ranking on the second page. That's improving a little bit. It went from position 16 up to 15, which is good, but it's still ranking on the second page. It's nowhere near where this Mazda 6 Touring versus Grand Touring page is ranking. When we investigate that a little and take a look at the page that is ranking for that term, it's still just this page on the Touring versus Grand Touring, which indicates to me we probably don't have content out there specifically for the Sport versus the Touring trim. If that still is an important term, and again, obviously between these three searches, all based around particular trim levels and comparing different trim levels, I want to make sure that I have a page specifically now for the Sport versus the Touring. If this is the closest thing that I have on my site to rank for that, the Touring versus the Grand Touring, okay, I'm glad that it's ranking. I'm glad it's getting, you know, some views, but where would the, you know, a page on the Sport model versus the Touring model probably rank? It probably would rank much better because it would be much more relevant. So that's something actionable that I can give to my team and say, please make sure not only that we have a Sport versus Touring page out there, but maybe go ahead and create comparison pages for every successive step up in the trim levels for the Mazda 6, because we know that this is something that users are looking for. And then maybe we can even take that a step further and start ideating additional content targeting that user intent. So now if we know that one of the big things that our users are looking for, that we're ranking, you know, somewhat well on, for some of these very well on this top term, if we know that a lot of those queries are based around the, you know, what differentiates the Mazda 6 trim levels, then maybe I create a broad page that can unify all of those different trim level comparisons that we create. And that page is more generally about the Mazda 6 trim levels. And now I create a page that users can land on at a high level and click through to get individual comparisons on the Touring versus the Grand Touring, the Sport versus the Touring. But I've also got those specific pages out there for those more specific searches that users can land on, and then they can click up higher in the structure to learn more about the Mazda 6 in general, about the other trim levels, that kind of thing. Similar insights, you know, something like this, again, 2014 Mazda 5 release date. If we're in the 2015 models at this point, I'm maybe not as concerned about ranking for that keyword because it's probably not relevant anymore. But that's a good indicator of a long tail keyword that is again going to be pulling into these organic rankings, or sorry, organic keyword report. These last two that I'll go over in the middle here, this is something that you might see. So on one hand, you've got the searches that combine a general description of your business with an area that you serve. Things like Mazda dealer Tampa, Mazda of Sarasota, Mazda dealers Tampa, Florida, that kind of thing. Then you've got a step down kind of, or over into searches that are about specific models that you currently sell. So they're still very directly tied to to a product that you're selling currently. Then you've got another step into these more general queries that you might see depending on again, your typical users and your potential customers. Things like, how does a rotary engine work? What is SkyActiv technology? SkyActiv obviously being proprietary to Mazda, rotary engines being a type of engine that they used to offer. I don't believe that they do anymore. These types of more general queries, more general industry-wide questions can still be useful for you because, again, if the organic keyword report here is indicating that you are placing or could potentially place well for searches like this, and those searches can be written about in a way that answers a user's question based on the whatever the query is, and also in answering their question can help build confidence in your brand or your dealership and potentially pivot them a little bit closer to if not buying a vehicle, maybe checking into Mazda models, maybe getting interested in the available models, scheduling a test drive, that kind of thing, then those queries and that information can still be really useful. So if I'm a Mazda dealer, I'm probably not immediately worried about ranking for information about rotary engines if Mazda no longer offers rotary engines. But the combination of keywords here might trigger a plan where let's say we say, we've got some content out there for how does a rotary engine work. We're ranking on the second page. It's not bad. It's not great. But we've also got some content here about SkyActiv technology. So what if I go and create or create some content or revamp the content on this page targeting that phrase, how does a rotary engine work, so that it's current and up to date to basically say, maybe give an answer to how a rotary engine works, but also to have kind of a disclaimer. Mazda used to be a company that used rotary engines a lot. They don't a whole lot anymore because it was replaced with SkyActiv technology. And maybe I use that as an opportunity where if a user is still interested and we've provided good information, maybe we pivot them over to some content that we've created about SkyActiv technology, talking about what that is, what the benefits of that are, how some of the benefits of that might outweigh whatever potential benefits or whatever potential interest a user had in a rotary engine. And now we've got, potentially 2 or 3 content pages that we can create based around these queries that allow us, again, to still draw users in with a query like this that's not immediately related to a vehicle or a service I'm currently providing. Still answers that question. It's not a bait and switch, and it can't be manipulative, but still answers that question, but then capitalizes on the interest and trust, hopefully, that we've gained by providing a good answer for that question, and shifts them over to related relevant content that might eventually actually lead them to being more interested in current Mazda models and in and in the vehicles that we currently sell. The second tab, or the second section of the DI dashboard that I want to go over is going to be the Analytics tab. So whereas the SEO tab is great for rankings, seeing where and how you rank for particular queries, whether that's just to gain general insights, what kind of things do we rank for, and what kind of questions are people asking that we might be able to rank for better by giving better answers, and looking at specific keywords that I know are important and monitoring where I stand on that to make sure that I don't that I maintain high positions and don't slip. The Analytics tab, on the other hand, is going to contain a lot of good information and insights on how users are actually getting to your website. So the rankings report doesn't necessarily always mean that users, when they see your result in the rankings, are clicking through to your website. It just indicates visibility and organic positioning. Excuse me. The Analytics tab actually contains information on how people are getting to your website. There's 2 specific reports or sections of the Analytics tab that I think are really useful for generating content strategy ideas. And the first is this top searches section. The second is this top content pages section. The top searches section, so again, to clarify, we're still talking about organic searches here, and we're still talking about keywords. The difference is this is going to show you, of the users who did make it to your site, these are the keywords, the organic keywords that they used as their entry into your site. whereas the organic keyword report is just telling you this is what you're ranking for across the board and where. So there's going to be overlap, obviously, but it is a little bit different in terms of the insights you can draw from it, because users or keywords showing up in this top searches report were actually clicked on and brought users to your website. You're going to see some overlap. So again, you've got Mazda 6 Touring versus Grand Touring here, Mazda Touring versus Grand Touring, reiterating the importance of having answers on your website when people are wondering what is the difference between these particular trim levels and how can I, decide which one is best for me. But you also see some different terms in here that weren't showcased quite as prominently on the rankings report. Things like 2016 Miata release date, Mazda CX-9 redesign, yet another for the 2016 Mazda release date, another variation on that, another variation on the CX-9 redesign for 2016. What you can do with this information, and again, this is going to be mostly useful for questions or queries relating to the products that you sell, but probably not relating in a branded way immediately to your dealership. What you can do is you can go on your website and say, if a user is getting to my website from these queries, where are they going? What page are they getting to? And do we have a satisfactory answer there? So 2016 Mazda Miata release date. Do we have a page on our website talking about the 2016 Miata, when it's coming out, a page that we're constantly updating to make sure that when, say, that the vehicle is available for pre-order or available to take a test drive, we've got a form on that page, where somebody can contact us, that sort of thing. Same thing, do we have anything out there talking about the CX-9 redesign? We should, if users are getting to our website via those terms, but is that content updated? Does that content serve our purposes of generating more interest in this vehicle? Are we making sure that as soon as more information is available, as soon as somebody is able to actually come in and test drive this vehicle and see the redesign for themselves, is that page set up in order to easily allow customers to convert? And it also tells you that there's higher interest in these terms. So maybe those terms then can go into your strategy and justify additional content pieces down the line. Maybe now we really need to keep an eye on information about the Miata's release date, because as soon as we can put reliable information out there, we know that people are really actively interested in that. Similar sort of search down here that you see showcased rotary mechanic Bradenton, not really related to new vehicles, but the insight that I could draw from that is, again, and similar to how we saw in the organic keywords report, if people have older Mazda models that do have rotary engines that require a specific set of skills different than most current standard engines, and people are searching for things like rotary mechanic, people are searching actively for who can work on my older Mazda vehicle that has a rotary engine in it. Maybe that's something that I don't have a whole lot of content on my site right now for, but I might want to think about that. I might want to think about building some service pages talking about how we have mechanics who can work on rotary engines, who know rotary engines, who are licensed to work on older Mazda models like this. And maybe I can link that up with some informational content. Again, like we just saw in the organic keyword report, talking about how rotary engines work and why they're different than most current standard engines, the benefits, the disadvantages, that kind of thing. So that can potentially generate some content ideas for me. Top pages, on the other hand, this particular report will tell you the pages that are getting the most visits on your website. So this is the most popular content on your website. Pretty obvious the benefit that should pose for you, where you can use the top pages report in your content strategy is similar, to what we've talked about. You can identify opportunities to take pages that are already getting a lot of eyes on them and maximize them for conversions. So you can look at a page like this on 2016 Miata news, and you see, okay, this page is getting a lot of visits. You want to make sure now that page that you're keeping that page updated, that you're not letting that page fall off, that in 2 or 3 months when there's a lot more news about the 2016 Miata out there,
Okay. So looks like Tom have had a bit of a dropout there. So um, I'm gonna just going to bring in a couple of points real quick till he comes back in. Um, so one of the great things, this is obviously a testament to the importance of the DI dashboard and everything that it could do, and how it's so important to have to monitor just about every aspect of your, not only your website but of your dealership as well. Um, but I know from a different aspect. I'm not a part of the content team, but I get a chance to listen in on different webinars, learn about PR and link building, and just learning how keywords work. One of the great things is that to remember is keyword stuffing is definitely a no-no. That is not, as Kyle mentioned, Google likes new content. So you want to make sure that the content on your pages is refreshed, is updated, not to just stuff a bunch of keywords in the meta or in hidden pages. If you've listened, any of you have ever listened to Joe Chura's Blackboard sessions, he also talks about index pages, which is just chock full of fluff, trying to get higher Google rankings. But Google is much smarter than that, so it knows that that's not exactly the way. It knows it knows what you're trying to do. And also, some of your dealerships, some of your websites, you may utilize a blog. It's important to know that when writing content is not exactly, it's not just for technical aspect of any of the cars that you have or trying to rank for that. One of the other great ways to generate content is also, just showing that you're part of your community or staying on top of trends. Sometimes your campaigns will also do that, and that helps a great deal. So, for instance, it's if your car dealership is sponsoring a Little League baseball team, and using Kyle's example of, a Mazda dealership in Florida, so you talk about that in your blog and you bring up your name and you use keywords, Mazda dealership, and but you also talk about the Little League game. That's another way to generate content to up your keywords that is a little more natural. I guess I could say. So I think we have Kyle. Kyle, you back?
Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry, I didn't
Yeah.
realize that I even cut out.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So, so yeah, I was just filling in just kind of a one, how keyword stuffing is a no-no, and while the content, it's about the quality, not the quantity. So you don't want to use too many. You don't want to have a bunch of index pages or pages with just fluff on them to try to up your rankings. Like, this is very important to make sure that your content is quality, because as you mentioned, Google likes fresh content and not just a bunch of keywords. So,
Correct,
yeah,
right.
so I'm gonna let you go ahead. I think we cut out was, yeah, was here's you were talking to the examples on the analytics tab, the top search
Okay,
example.
we were past this point, correct?
Um, yes, I believe so.
Okay. So yeah, so without reviewing or repeating too much, hopefully, um, the analytics tab, I would break down into the top searches report and the top pages report. Top searches is again telling you what searches actually literally brought people to your website. So what I would do here would be draw the same sorts of insights that you can get from the search terms report. Obviously, if these are searches that people put in that are actually leading to views on your website, then these are searches and ideas that are important for your users, and it's important that your site has good answers for those questions or good information related to those queries. So I would look for trends here as well. Things like 2016 Miata release date, which comes up in 2 different versions. Obviously, that's something people are really interested in. When does this new Miata model come out? So I want to make sure that I've got content on my website answering that question. And further, I want to, if I do already have content on my website answering that question, and obviously it's working because people are getting to that page through, some of these searches, I want to use this top searches report, seeing that keyword comes up and is leading to views on my site fairly successfully, to indicate to me that I want to make sure whatever page I've got targeting, the new Miata or the new Miata's release date is going to be updated as soon as it is actually released. or as soon as it is available for pre-order, so that when people get to that page in the future, there's an action that they can actually take. So more so than just even giving a user the information they're looking for in relation to this query, I want to make sure that once there is something actionable that a user can do once they get to that page, I want to make sure that the page enables them to take that action. Same sort of thing for something like Mazda CX-9 redesign right here, Mazda CX-9 2006 redesign down here. I want to make sure that I do have content on my website addressing the important factors of the CX-9 model's redesign, and I want to make sure that I'm updating that regularly so that as soon as the model actually debuts, for example, I've got pictures of the redesign and I've got information dissecting, what specifically changed from last year's model to this year's model, both in terms of style, internal redesign, any differences in features, things like that. And then I want to keep that page updated if I see that it is still continuing over the next however many months to bring users to the website. I want to keep that page updated so that once the 2016 model is out, we can say, hey, come test drive the redesigned CX-9 or come see the CX-9's redesign in person. And I've got some kind of call to action on that page that can result in a user scheduling a test drive or coming into the dealership, something like that. The last type of thing that you might see would be terms like this, not directly related to an area that you're serving, and whatever core keyword describes your business, in this case car dealership or Mazda dealer, and also not related directly to a new model that you actively sell, but that can still provide decent insights in terms of coming up with a content plan. Something like rotary mechanic Bradenton, something that I might not have thought of. Older Mazda models, like we saw and talked about in the organic keywords report, use rotary engines a lot. The fact that people are out there, and they don't anymore a whole lot, but the fact that people are out there looking specifically for rotary mechanic Bradenton tells me that there are people who know, I've got an older Mazda model with a rotary engine. I want somebody who can work on this engine. So that might give me enough of an insight to go back to the website and say, let's create some content specifically about how we service rotary engines, about how our mechanics are certified for older Mazda models, how they're rotary engine experts, that kind of thing. And maybe further than that, I even create a network of content about the rotary engine, what made that different, how did it work, what were the benefits, that kind of thing, so that when people are out there searching for a place to have their older vehicle with a rotary engine serviced, they have a lot of content on my website that can show up to pull them in. Excuse me. The top pages report, on the other hand, this is going to show you the pages that are the most popular on your website, pretty obviously. That, again, obviously has a lot of benefits, where it has benefits for content creation and content idea generation, is you can take a look at the pages that are actually getting the most eyes on them, and you can make sure that they continue to be relevant, that they're updated as needed, so that they continue to have high visibility and continue to pull a lot of traffic. But you can also make sure that they're optimized for conversions. So if I know, again, that the 2016 Miata is a big deal because users are getting to my site for searches about the 2016 Miata's release date, so I know that they're interested in that. I know that's a highly anticipated vehicle, obviously, and I've got a page here, 2016 Miata news, that's pulling a lot of searches in. I want to make absolutely sure that as soon as there are updates from Mazda about what that new Miata involves, any changes that it's going to have showcased over the 2015 model, price points, trim levels available, features, options, when there are photos are released about it, all that kind of stuff. I want to make sure that that page gets updated immediately, because it's doing well now, which means I have a lead over other people and other sites out there that might just start writing about that vehicle after the fact. I also want to make sure, if I've got a lot of eyes on that page, that as soon as that vehicle is available for pre-order, or as soon as it's on the lot and I can have people come and take a test drive, I want to make sure there's a very clear call to action on that page that enables users to do that, so I can start generating interest in that model as soon as I've got it to sell. Same sort of things, that you see here that we already talked about with the search terms report. This page on the touring trim versus the grand touring trim is ranking very well. I might pull the same insight, seeing that as a high traffic page that I would from seeing the data on the organic keyword report that tells me, hey, this page is ranking really well for these particular queries. Same sort of deal for the CX9 redesign. I might look at something like this and say, you know what, we've got content out there for Sarasota, Florida that's getting some eyes on it right now. Let's have my team evaluate that page and make sure that it really does offer a unique value for Sarasota drivers. I might brainstorm, hey, how can we create maybe even some additional value, some additional USPs for Sarasota drivers that I can add to that page if people are coming to it and it's getting some traffic. How can I add a call to action or some kind of actionable item on that page to take advantage of the traffic that it's getting? So those are, the two primary areas of the dashboard that I would look at to generate insights that you can take and create content ideas and content strategies with. Again, just a quick overview, the SEO tab is going to be most relevant for monitoring specific keywords that you know are important to you and making sure that they maintain high positions and don't slip, identifying you when they do start to slip so that you can proactively head that off with additional content or by revamping existing content. It's also going to give you good insights as to what searches your existing content is ranking really well for. The analytics tab, on the other hand, again, is going to show you how people are actively getting to the site. So that allows you to take a look at the searches that are actively bringing people into the site and capitalize on those. And again, capitalize on the content that you've already created to make sure that you're getting the most out of it, maximizing that for conversions and things like that. Shani, I think that's the end of my part of it. Did we want to take questions at this point?
Yeah, we can. We'll see if there are any questions come in. In the meantime, while we're seeing if any come in, I'd just like to say that, it's obvious that you can be sure that, tea leaves and goat entrails are not being used to figure out how to generate content. This is very, very, very in depth, and one of the things that we want to make sure is that part of our tenets is transparency. So we want to make sure that when you work with us, that you are getting the best possible service, and that everything we do is 100%. I myself, personally, I'm a writer, and I just kind of dream up stuff, but this is very in depth, and it just shows me how much work goes into making sure that the content is not only great content and engaging, but also make sure that it works, and to make sure website work, which make people want to come to your website and come to your dealership. So this is all great information. So it looks like we don't have any questions at this point. So, Kyle, I want to thank you very much for offering your time and expertise and telling us all about this. So thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And I want to make sure that you guys come next week and listen to, email marketing is not dead. It is not dead. There is, especially when you use it as part of a full marketing campaign, email marketing is huge, and it's actually responsible for, I think, 40% of your returns. I have to check my stats, but I know it's huge. So Nick Wittenroot is going to be talking to us about that. So make sure you stay tuned for next week. And I want to say thank you. And again, I am Shani, trainer of technologies for innovative dealers such as yourself. See you all next week.